The night sky burns over Pokrovsk. Explosions echo from the horizon. 217 clashes erupted across Ukraine's front lines in the past 24 hours, 76 of them right here. Ukraine's defenders are outnumbered but unbroken, holding the line against wave after wave of Russian assaults. According to Ukraine's general staff, more than 1,000 Russian soldiers were killed on November 11th alone. Analysts call it one of the most intense days since the full-scale invasion began. Tonight, we break down what's really happening across the front and why Pokrovsk has suddenly become the center of the storm. In the past 24 hours, Ukraine's front lines have erupted with 217 separate combat engagements, marking one of the fiercest single-day surges of fighting in recent memory. This figure, confirmed by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, paints a stark picture of how intense and unrelenting the war has become as both sides dig in for the winter of 2025. According to the official report, Russian forces launched one missile strike, 44 airstrikes, and conducted over 4,080 attacks in total, including 109 salvos from multiple launch rocket systems and a staggering 3,965 kamikaze drones. It's a reminder of how dramatically warfare has evolved over the last 2 years. The battlefield is no longer dominated by tanks and trenches alone. Now, it's drones, guided bombs, and precision artillery defining each day's outcome. A Ukrainian field commander described the situation bluntly. The sky never sleeps. Even at night, you hear the buzz of drones. It's constant. The scale of these attacks reveals Russia's changing strategy. Instead of massive armored thrusts, Moscow is now relying on attrition warfare, trying to wear down Ukrainian defenses by striking across multiple fronts simultaneously. Each attack might not achieve much on its own, but together they stretch Ukraine's manpower, ammunition, and morale. The Pokrovsk sector, however, stood out as the epicenter, recording 76 individual clashes in just one day. But that wasn't the only hotspot. Intense fighting was also reported near Kupiansk, Lyman, Kostiantynivka, and Sloviansk, all key sectors where Russian troops are attempting to breach Ukrainian defensive lines. Ukraine's military spokespeople noted that despite the sheer scale of Russian firepower, Ukrainian defenders successfully repelled every attempted breakthrough. The use of flexible defense tactics, where smaller units maneuver between fortified positions, has allowed Ukraine to hold even under constant drone and artillery fire. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian Air Force and missile artillery units struck back, targeting concentrations of Russian troops, command centers, and drone storage facilities. These counterstrikes, though limited in number, carry symbolic weight, proof that Ukraine remains capable of hitting back despite being outnumbered and outgunned. The number 217 isn't just a statistic. It represents hundreds of simultaneous firefights, stretching across more than 1,000 kilometers of front. It reflects a war that has ground into a daily, grinding contest of endurance, one in which both armies are fighting not just for territory, but for time, resources, and survival. As the day closed, both sides claimed tactical advantages, but one thing was clear. The front lines of Ukraine are now in constant motion, with no sign of slowing down. If there's one name dominating Ukraine's battlefield reports this week, it's Pokrovsk. The once bustling industrial city in Donetsk Oblast, known for its coal mines and railway junction, has become the epicenter of Russia's latest offensive push. Out of the 217 combat clashes recorded across the front, 76 occurred in or around the Pokrovsk sector. That's more than 1/3 of all engagements in a single day, underscoring just how crucial this region has become to Moscow's current strategy. The General Staff of Ukraine's armed forces reported that Russian troops launched relentless assaults near Volodymyrivka, Nikhnarivka, Myrnorad, Rydinsky, Lysivka, Pokrovsk, Kotline, Udakny, Molodetsky, and Novomykhailivka. Each of these towns lies along key logistical arteries that connect the Donetsk front to deeper Ukrainian-held territory. Military analysts note that Pokrovsk serves as a vital supply hub for Ukrainian forces operating across central and western Donetsk. Control over this region would give Russia direct access to the Dnipro-Donetsk rail corridor, a logistical prize that could reshape the dynamics of the entire Eastern Front. It's no coincidence that Moscow is throwing waves of infantry and mechanized units into this sector, supported by near-continuous drone and artillery fire. The Ukrainian military officer stationed near the front told local media, Pokrovsk has become the pressure point. Every few minutes, we repel another attack. They're trying to grind us down, but the line is holding. Russia's operational pattern here is telling. Instead of a single large assault, Russian forces are employing wave tactics, launching small, persistent attacks from multiple directions. The goal is to exhaust Ukrainian troops, deplete ammunition, and force defensive repositioning. At the same time, Russian reconnaissance drones circle overhead, identifying weak spots for follow-up strikes by artillery or guided bombs. But Ukraine isn't standing still. Reinforcements from neighboring sectors have been moved in, and fortified defensive belts are now heavily mined and reinforced with anti-tank barriers. Ukrainian drone operators are also striking back, using first-person view FPV drones to ambush advancing Russian infantry columns and vehicles. These drone duels have become a defining feature of the Pokrovsk battle zone, a glimpse of how modern warfare has evolved in real time. Civilian life in the area has virtually collapsed. Pokrovsk's remaining residents, once numbering more than 60,000, now live mostly underground, in basements and shelters, as air raid sirens wail day and night. Local authorities report that over 80% of the population has already been evacuated. For Russia, success in Pokrovsk would mean tightening control over the central Donetsk corridor and boosting morale at home after months of costly stalemates. For Ukraine, holding the line here is not just about territory. It's about preventing a symbolic and strategic loss that could ripple across the entire front. As one Ukrainian analyst put it, Pokrovsk is not just a city, it's the heart of resistance in Donetsk. If it holds, Ukraine holds. If the ground battles around Pokrovsk and Kupiansk show the grinding face of this war, then the skies over Ukraine reveal its terrifying new dimension, the age of drones and guided bombs. In the past 24 hours alone, the Russian military conducted 1 missile strike, 44 airstrikes, and over 3,965 kamikaze drone attacks. That number, nearly 4,000 drones in a single day, underscores how modern warfare has shifted toward what many analysts now call aerial attrition. The Ukrainian General Staff confirmed that Russian forces dropped 44 guided aerial bombs on Ukrainian positions and civilian areas. These precision munitions, often launched from Su-34 and Su-35 aircraft far behind the front lines, are proving to be one of Moscow's most destructive tools. Several regions were hit, including Lozova in Kharkiv, Malomykhailivka in Dnipropetrovsk, and Zeleny High in Zaporizhia. Each strike adds pressure not just militarily, but psychologically, as communities hundreds of kilometers apart feel the daily reach of war. But it's the drones that have truly defined this new phase of fighting. Russian forces have flooded the skies with Shahd-type kamikaze drones, many built domestically under license or modified in Russian factories. Analysts from the Royal United Services Institute RUSI estimate that Russia is now producing thousands of drones each month, some in Tatarstan and Alabuga, others in smaller satellite plants across the country. A Ukrainian air defense officer described the experience. They come in waves, 10, 20, sometimes 50 at once. You shoot one down and another replaces seconds later. This drone saturation strategy serves multiple purposes. First, it overwhelms Ukraine's limited air defense ammunition. Second, it exposes radar positions and anti-aircraft batteries, allowing Russian missile forces to later target them. Third, it ensures a near-constant threat to logistics hubs, command centers, and even energy infrastructure far from the front lines. Ukraine, however, has adapted impressively. Mobile air defense groups, armed with machine guns, electronic jammers, and manpads, now patrol key zones nightly. The country's expanding network of anti-drone systems, many developed domestically, has helped shoot down hundreds of Russian UAVs daily. Still, the sheer volume remains difficult to contain. Meanwhile, Ukraine's own drone fleet has become a critical equalizer. Using first-person view FPV drones, Ukrainian operators continue to strike Russian armored vehicles, depots, and even airfields deep inside Russian territory. The skies over Ukraine now represent a technological arms race, one measured not in stealth bombers or supersonic jets, but in mass-produced, low-cost drones. And each side is learning, adapting, and countering in real time. As one Western analyst summarized in early November 2025, the war in Ukraine has shown that the side with more drones and better electronic warfare will dominate the next decade of conflict. While Pokrovsk dominates the headlines, fierce fighting continues across nearly every axis of the front, stretching from Kursk in Russia's border region down to the Zaporizhia steppe and the Dnipro River. The intensity and scale of these operations show how both sides are attempting to outmaneuver each other before winter fully sets in. Let's break down the key sectors shaping the battlefield this week. Northern Front, Slobozhansk-China, and Kursk axis. 10 combat engagements occurred over the past day. Russian forces continue to test Ukraine's defenses near Vovchansk, Odradny, and Vovhansky Khutory. These attacks appear aimed at stretching Ukraine's defensive lines and forcing Kyiv to divert reinforcements northward. Kupiansk and Lyman axes. In Kupiansk, Russia launched 18 assaults near Stepova Novoselivka and Borivska Andriivka. Further south, on the Lyman axis, Russian troops attempted to advance near Zarekny, Rydkotup, Nadia, and Tverdoklubov. Ukraine repelled 12 attacks, using artillery and counter-battery fire to prevent any territorial gain. Central Donetsk, Kostiantynivka, Sloviansk, and Pokrovsk axes. The Kostiantynivka axis saw 16 Russian assaults targeting Bielahora, Shcherbanivka, and Yablonivka, while 8 attacks occurred near Yambol, Serebryanka, and Dranivka. Despite repeated waves, Ukrainian troops held firm, demonstrating the effectiveness of prepared defensive lines and local counterstrikes. Southern Front, Huliapol, Orikhiv, and Zaporizhia. Limited offensive activity was recorded, but Russia launched 4 assaults toward Primorsky and tested Ukrainian positions near Zeleny High and Solidki. Analysts say Moscow's goal is to prevent renewed Ukrainian pushes toward Melitopol or Tokmak. Volyn, Polisia, and Dnipro River axes. No significant offensive actions were reported, though Ukrainian intelligence continues monitoring potential Russian buildups in Belarus. Across all axes, Russia is intensifying pressure, forcing Ukraine to defend multiple critical zones simultaneously. Yet despite the scale of these attacks, no major territorial shifts have occurred. The battle remains one of attrition, endurance, and adaptation, with both sides learning and evolving daily. Despite the massive wave of Russian assaults, Ukraine's defense forces are not just enduring. They're striking back with precision, coordination, and innovation. Over the past 24 hours, Ukrainian aircraft, missile forces, and artillery units carried out a series of targeted counterstrikes against Russian positions, command centers, and supply depots. According to the General Staff, Ukrainian forces hit 2 concentrations of Russian manpower and equipment, 3 command and observation posts, a drone storage facility, and 3 other critical targets. These strikes, though modest in number compared to Russian attacks, demonstrate that Kyiv still retains both the capability and the will to conduct deep, high-value operations. The Ukrainian spokesperson emphasized, "Every strike we carry out is calculated. We're not firing for the sake of noise, we're firing for impact." Western-supplied systems such as HIMARS, Excalibur precision shells, and Storm Shadow cruise missiles play a crucial role, complemented by Ukrainian-made drones and missiles. FPV drones continue to strike armored vehicles, disrupt supply convoys, and attack forward command posts. A senior officer summed it up. The difference between us and them is precision. They have quantity, we have accuracy. Despite shortages of ammunition and energy constraints from constant Russian strikes, Ukrainian resilience remains unshaken, with soldiers, volunteers, and engineers innovating faster than Moscow can adapt. Every counterstrike reinforces one fact: Ukraine is fighting smarter, faster, and with unbroken resolve. The past 24 hours have shown just how intense the war in Ukraine has become. With 217 combat clashes, relentless air and drone assaults, and a spotlight on Pokrovsk, it's clear that this conflict is entering a new, grueling phase. Yet, Ukraine's defenders continue to hold the line, striking back with precision and innovation despite overwhelming pressure. As one Ukrainian analyst put it, Pokrovsk is not just a city, it's the heart of resistance in Donetsk. If it holds, Ukraine holds. This battle is far from over, but one thing is certain: Ukraine is fighting with resilience, strategy, and determination. If you want to stay updated with the latest verified news from the front lines and expert geopolitical analysis, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Every day counts, and understanding the realities on the ground is more important than ever.